of the Crucible event, we are going to attempt the Legend difficulty with Red Goblin as the first fight. Now this fight is all about managing furies and extra buffs, so the nodes are going to be burn out unlimited, power over time, and time to strike. So whenever you will apply a debuff for the opponent, after a cooldown, the number of debuff you applied will be converted into furies. So best way is to roll and cheese, as you can see on your screens. Just simply parry him 3 times before the cooldown, you give him 3 furies, and then you stun with an SP1, and you just keep going about your normal day, keep throwing those special ones, and you should be okay taking him down. Because for every time the cooldown happens, you are going to increase the furies, so there wouldn't be a problem doing too much damage to Red Goblin, and he will die quick. Now if you don't have the cheese options, there are plenty of other options that are available. I have given a few options that you can use. So the Spider-Man Starkadon also does the same cheese with the SP. It does the same cheese with the SP1. You can also use somebody like Chavez or somebody like the Scarlet Witch. Anybody that takes advantage of those extra furies can work. You can also use a Mojo. You can also use a Kushala. All of those champions work well there. Now moving on to the next fight, we are going to have Ultron Classic, and I'm going to take Serpent here. Now the nodes here are going to be a little annoying because it will require you to keep an eye on the armor up. So if there's an armor up on Ultron, he is going to be unblockable because of armor assault. But if you hit him with a critical and he has an armor up, the critical will do no damage, but the armor will be removed. It boosts buff armor. There's also enhanceability, so he is more likely to evade, and there's Mystic Ward and Transducer, so if you're using a Mystic champion, the chance to their nullify abilities to fail is quite high. So I am going to use a Serpent here. Now the reason I bring in a Serpent because he is immune to Cold Snap, and he also stops the opponents from evading, and a Cosmic champion, so he works really well for this fight. I'm just throwing my SP1s, building up those furies and my charges, and once I have enough, I will just switch back to an SP2. To be honest, I'm not really the best when it comes to Serpent gameplay. I'm just learning as we go. I just recently pulled him as a 7-star. I thought this was a good place to use him, so I'm going to use Serpent here. Other champions that you can use are your anti-robotic champions like King Groot, Vision Arcus, Gamora. You can use all of them. Or you can also use champions like who can bypass the evade. So for example, medium with Null, and also Odin with his true buff. So all of those champions can work really well for this fight. You just have to play around the unblockable armor assault node, and you should be good for this fight. Next up, we are going to have a Taskmaster with Crit Me with your best shot, True Strike, Bob and Weave, Unblockable specials, and Aggressive. So he's going to be aggressive, throwing in specials, and will dash back quite less, and also he can only take damage when you're going to crit him, and also there is Bob and Weave, so all of his hits are going to be critical unless you dex him or you intercept him. You're going to disable that node for him for a little while. So yeah, so the easy way here is to bring in champions that can just have a high rate of critting. So for example, I'm just using my 6-star rank 6 Ascended Domino. So I'm just going to do like a normal game with the Domino and hope for the RNG gods to throw the criticals for me. I would like to push Taskmaster to an SP2 all the time, but SP1 is okay too if you are comfortable with the timing to evade it. But it's better to push him to an SP2 if you're not comfortable with the SP1 timing on it. Some other options that work really well are going to be your Bullseye. Bullseye works really good because of all of his criticals. You can also use Nightcrawler. There's also Adam Warlock. Emma Frost is also a good option because her big crits on SP2, so she can work too. So there are quite a few different options that you can work around with. It's not a difficult fight. It's just goes annoying because he gets debuff immunity as well. You have to bring in a champion that doesn't affect after the debuff immunity and can do quite a bit of crits. So I brought in Domino. Domino will take a little bit of time to kill him. So I'll leave you to this fight and I'll see you on the next one. Next up is going to be an Hulk Immortal. Now, just a regular Hulk Immortal fight, or a few notes that are going to be here is the first one is going to be do not go gentle. So do not go gentle will give you charges on yourself for every 5 hits you land on the opponent. And these charges can be removed only by either an intercept, in which case you remove 2 charges, or by a heavy attack, in which you can remove 1 charges. And there's also going to be high energy diet, so you can't use a champion that has kind of energy damage. And there's also going to be ebb and flow heavy, so Hulk will have a protection on him for a few seconds. Unless you knock him down, then the protection goes away. After a few seconds it comes back again, so you have to constantly keep knocking him down. I would say use a bleed champion just to avoid the second health, because it's very annoying at this health pool. And yeah, so just use bleed champions, keep the charges down to 15 and you should be good. Another thing that is going to be really important for this, so the SP1 and SP2 both can be easily evaded, but you have to constantly knock down, constantly apply bleeds, and keep an eye on those do not go gentle charges. Now if you're gonna use somebody like Nick Fury, that's okay, you don't need to worry much. Just keep them below 10, and even if it tries to kill you, Nick Fury does have a second life where he dispels everything. But if you're not using a champion like that, you're using somebody like Black Cat, or Baron Zemo, or Blade, or Shield, or somebody like Giovanni Panther, you will need to keep intercepting in between or use a heavy attack, and that will help you keep the charges down. 1 or 2 charges are enough. And even if you die because of the charges, it's not a big deal. You can just revive very quickly and come back and kill Hulk Immortal again. So yeah, not really a difficult boss, but an annoyingly lengthy fight, even with a bleed champion. Next up is going to be a Cosmic Ghost Rider with steady build-up. So anytime there is going to be 3 debuffs on us as an attacker, Cosmic Ghost Rider will go unblockable. So, and to couple that, there is Special Burst Lockdown. So whenever a Cosmic Ghost Rider will use a special attack, he is going to apply an armor break and a heal block on us. Rise to power: if you knock him down for the first 3 seconds, if you try to hit him, he takes extra power gain. So be wary about that. And there is Power Bond and Energize. So those are the 2 you can ignore. The important thing here is going to be use a champion that is kind of that can either do power control or that is kind of armor break immune. So I went for the armor break immune option because even if he uses special attacks, he's not going to get the 3 debuffs easily on me. Because I will only get an heal block debuff on me, but no armor breaks, and that will help me keep Cosmic Ghost Rider away from unblockable. Now, some options that can work are mostly going to be options that are like armor break immune. So Absman can work really well here. You can also use Destroyer. The other good option you can use is going to be White Tiger and keep in the power control, and they should be good for this fight. Hood can also really just rinse through this one. Then there's also Werewolf by Night, so plenty of options available. I went with the armor break immune option. You can probably use a Wiccan as well, he will work too. So yeah, slow and steady, you can take him down. Both the specials can be evaded by Cosmic Ghost Rider. So here's the Cadence, Dexterity, wait for the hand to go up, and as soon as he's trying to bring down, that's when you Dex, and you can get through the SP2 Dex also easily. It does take a little bit of practice, but comparatively speaking, he's not really an annoying or a lengthy boss. He just needs the right champion, and you can take him down quite quickly at the end. Moving next, we're going to have an Old Man Logan with Arrogance, Lionheart, Bubble Shield, Return Policy, and Lazarus. Now with Lazarus, whenever he will go down to 0 health, he is going to get back some regen. And with Arrogance, every 10 hits he is going to apply a Folter on us that will cause us to miss. And there's also Bubble Shield, so if you block 10 hits, you are going to get a counter toward 10, and the 11th hit will be unblockable, so you have to keep a tiny bit of eye on that as well. And finally, you have Lionheart. So if you use any kind of champion that applies heal block or reduces, tries to manipulate with the health regen, that is not going to work for you because he is going to gain all of that regen back. So make sure that you bring in the right champion and you don't bring in like incinerates, poisons, or heal blocks, because that's not going to work for you. Now, having said that, what champions are going to work here? You can use somebody, so you need a counter here that can bypass the miss and still do enough damage to take out Old Man Logan over his regen too. So some of the options I can think of, my favorite one is Omega Sentinel. You start the fight with the tracking debuff, you apply it, and then you don't need to worry about the miss or folder the whole time. Another good option is going to be your Ironheart. You can take Ironheart's switch to the Rupture Protocol and you should be good. Same goes with Howard the Duck. You can also have other tech options like Prowler and also Lady Deathstrike. So all of these options can work really well for this fight. It's not a difficult fight, you just have to keep an eye on the folder, and rest you guys can manage. Next fight is going to be against the Spider Ham with steady build up, stung once, twice shy, the best defense, 3 shift and the best shiftment and the bleed and poison immunity that is going to be shifting. So you don't need to worry about the bleed and poison if you don't bring in a champion that applies that kind of debuff. I have brought in Kate Bishop. Now I am trying to build up all of my cold snaps and just keep him in the corner, let him throw an SP1. When he does, I can retaliate with a heavy on his special, and that usually knocks him back. So just parry, knock back, and once you're down at the wall and you are fully healed up from willpower because of the damage you've taken from Power Sting, you can apply another one just like this. And yeah, and that's about it. You can just stay there in the corner, keep refreshing it, and you are good to go for this fight. Now, this is how you fight when you have a counter like Kate Bishop. What happens if you don't have a counter like Kate Bishop? Well, other options are similar skill options. You can use Bullseye, you can use Atumba. Another popular one was Nick Fury, Jabari Panther, and also Crossbones. All of these champions work well. And yeah, this fight becomes easy after you understand the mechanics on the miss and the SP1. And then we're going to have a Spider-Man stock enhance, which can be very annoying because he has aggression fury. So the more idle you stay, the more you don't hit him, he is going to gain furies. He also has Be Like Water, so if you apply any non-damaging debuff, after that he's going to be unblockable for at least 10 seconds. There's Heavy Assault that does extra damage to him if you throw a heavy attack, and there's also True Strike. So you can use champions like Venom, Red Goblin, or Serpent for your Kate Bishop. Those champions that can stop Spider-Man stock enhance from invading, but you will still need an opening to do some damage. You can also use a Hulkling here because he has a good opening before he can go in, but remember there's also Mixed Master, so you need an evade counter with an opening, which is a bit too much to ask for at this moment. So the easiest way to do this fight is to bring in your Magneto, let him grow up to 10 of those prowesses, and then you have an SP3 ready, charge up to 41 and let it rip, and that should be enough for Starkey Spider-Man to take him out. Now, this is probably the most annoying and the longest fight for me in the whole path, because this was one where I did not put the perfect champion. I put Apocalypse. Now, I did get an advantage here with the Tenacity node, because with Tenacity, all the debuffs will be shocked off, but because I'm using Apocalypse, the ability accuracy of Tenacity is reduced to 0, so I can use Apocalypse here very easily. There's also Foresight, so whenever I will intercept them, they are going to gain Fury to do some damage. And there's also Evasive Maneuvers, so after a cooldown he gets a charge on evade. Now, best way to approach this fight is to bring in a champion that can passively stun, otherwise you are really screwed. So for me, I brought in your Apocalypse. You can bring in champions like Negasonic Warhead, Atuma. You can also bring in Onslaught or Moleman, so plenty of different options are there, but just remember how to approach a fight. You can't just take a use all the parries, so you can have to take some hits on the block, let them throw a heavy, and then you go back and attack. Otherwise, you will get evaded and he will strike back at you. Another good option that works here is going to be a bishop. So the options are there with the passive stuns that you can use, but make sure that this fight is going to be a bit annoying to deal with the constant evades. So if you have an evade counter, that would work well. Ideally I should be using a Venom here or a Red Goblin, but I'm using Venom for the last boss for Superior Kang, so I am not able to bring him here. So if you have that champion, he's gonna work really well here. The next defender is going to be a Doctor Strange with ionized armor, ironclad heavy, and special chaos inversion and prey on the weak. So whenever he's going to use a special during the animation of the special, your controls will be reversed. And there's also ionized armor, so after every few hits he's going to gain an armor. So just a regular Doctor Strange fight. The hard part here is to keep him drained from his special attacks, because the inverse controls can really hurt you with a big SP2. So some good counters are going to be, your cheese option is Chavez. You just keep in the corner, get the negative zone in, and Doctor Strange does not gain power at all. Luke Cage can also work here because he can reverse all of that power gain too, so he is a good option too. Some other option includes your Doctor Doom, Titania, Mojo. All of these champions can work as long as you control the power, and as long as you control the armor, you should be good. You can use armor break champions as well, but I would say like the better option is your nullifiers. So yeah, they should be able to help you take down Doctor Strange. Now it took a lot of return damage and I died, so I had to come back and finish off the fight with Chavez. But Chavez generally is probably the best option for this fight. Don't have to worry about any of those armors, and you can just keep using a heavy attack, corner him, and just the heavy attack should be enough. And with all the negative zone buffs on you, Doctor Strange will gain no power, and you can easily control and manipulate the fight. Next defender is going to be a Symbiote Supreme. Pretty fun fight, not really difficult as long as you can control the ebb and flow knockdown. So you will need to knock him down every time to remove the protection before he comes back up. Steady Preservance, so if he hits you in the block, he's going to gain power, and there's feats of power. So every 1 bar of power, 2 or 3, he's going to get extra buffs on him. And his power gain rate is also is immune to any changes in power gain rate. So you cannot use Petrify or Wither champions. Now the best champions that work for me here are going to be new champions like Human Torch or your Archangel, just parry and heavy, and you're good. You can also use a Photon. Spidery also works really well. Spot is also a good option. Basically anybody with a buff immunity can work really good here, including a Luke Cage. So yeah, buff immune champions can get through this fight, and you may just keep Symbiote Supreme to SP1s. But easier option is going to be Archangel for me. I could have also used Human Torch. Both options work really well. Archangel just naturally uses parry and heavy, so I don't need to keep an eye out for protection. So yeah, pretty straightforward fight, nothing really difficult. Just as soon as he gets to an SP1, bait that out and you should be good. The next one is going to be against the Sorcerer Supreme with Study, Build Up, Unblockable, Spite, Staggering Beauty, and Prey on the Weak. Now this fight is all about controlling the power, so your Wither and Petrify champs will work really well. I'm talking about your Void, I'm talking about your Spidey 2099s, I'm talking about your Yellowjackets. Other champions that work really well here are going to be your Silk, because she can evade all the specials on her own, and also you can use a Hulk if you want to use Hulk Smash and nuke him down. So yeah, quite a few options available. It's not really a difficult fight once you have the rhythm going. The whole thing is bring in a buff immune champion, your life will be much more easier, and I would suggest you to keep baiting SP2s out. Those are much easier to evade. SP1 is also evadable, but SP2 just makes it a tad more easier for you to get through the fight. So the next fight is going to be against a Warlock, probably from 7.3.5 with Ebb and Flow heavy, so you need a heavy attack to remove the protection, otherwise he takes less damage. There's also redlining, so as soon as you go above 2 bars of power, like 75% of your power, you're gonna be power drained. And there's also specialist, so there's extra damage you throw an SP2. Stage fright, you cannot throw 2 special attacks within 12 seconds, otherwise you get a very hefty degen, so take care about that. And there is also bubble shield, so whenever you will block a hit, you are going to get a shield charge on you. Once you have 10 charges right now, the 11th hit will be unblockable, that you have to evade. Now this was a roadblock fight for me because I messed up quite a lot in it, because I was trying to take him down with Juggernaut. Don't do that. Try to bring in your cosmic champions that have a lot of buffs, because that will help you remove that crazy infection very quickly, and then the remaining you can work out with the anti-robotic champions. So Medusa is a good one, Serpent is a good one. You can also use Gladiator, you will stop him from getting that armor up again. Another good option is going to be your T-Rex. So plenty of different options available that can be anti-robotic as well, so use those champions and you should be able to breeze through this fight. Just be careful about the protection that will keep coming out every now and again. So also the stage fright. So 2 or 3 things to take care on this fight. The fight itself is not difficult if you bring in the right champion. Is managing the stage fright, then the bubble shield, and also the knockdown for the ebb and flow. That is going to take most of your attention, but again, fight can be doable. Get the right cosmic champion in, anti-robotic preferable, and you should breeze through this fight. Next defender is going to be an Elsa Bloodstone. Now the nodes here are pretty fun. First one is going to be Tenacity. So she shrugs off the debuffs herself, and plus she has Tenacity. So you have to play like really slow. She will remove every single stun and every single debuff. Apart from that, there's evasive maneuver. So if you knock her down, she's going to get an evade charge. And with Elsa Bloodstone, when she evades, she is going to do an intercept to you with a revolver and get an opening to do a lot of damage to you. And then there is going to be persistent pressure. So after a cooldown, she is going to get unstoppable, and during the unstoppable, she is going to be stun immune as well. But to help with that, you can use champions that have built-in prowess. So with the prowess, the more prowess you have, the cooldown of or the duration of the unstoppable is reduced. So once you have around 15 prowesses, the unstoppable is down to 0. So it's a slow fight. Right now I knocked her down. There is a evade charge, so I'm just gonna run it out. And I'm gonna really slowly play this fight because I don't want to take any chances, because usually one evade, one combo and you're dead. Now, some really good champions that work here are going to be ones that's going to bypass her tenacity and probably kind of passively stun her. So your Storms, both of them will work. Bishop will work that I'm using. You can also use Toad. Kitty Pryde is a good option. Apocalypse, of course, is going to be amazing for this fight. And also Sauron are some good options. Now, again, passive stuns to control the evasive maneuvers, and just a regular Elsa Bloodstone fight. I would say keep her to an SP1 only. It's way easier to evade, and for the distancing also, you should be good with this fight. Again, this might take a little while, this fight, so yeah, stay tuned for that, and I'll see you on the next one. This is just a very regular, simple Elsa Bloodstone fight, so keep an eye on that, and let's jump on to the next one. That is going to be a very, very nasty Cable. Next up, it is my least favorite fight in all of 7.3. That is 7.3.5 Cable with Surge Protector and Supercharge. So he's going to gain a lot of power, and also he's going to bank a lot of power that he's going to use. There's also enhanced ability, so he's going to gain more buffs because of his abilities enhanced, and his aggressive is going to be super aggressive, and he's also going to have Vigorous Assault. So whenever he's going to get an armor up, he's going to get unblockable. And we hope that we push him to an SP2 before that, because SP1 with unblockable is quite annoying to deal with. Now, there are some champions that can literally rip through this fight, so mostly your champions that can block the unblockable will work really well. So that's why my Kushala is here. As soon as you have the blue blessing up, she can block the unblockable attacks. Same goes for your Iron Man, and same goes for your Guardian. Both of them can block unblockable if it's against mutants, so they can work too. Dr. Doom, you can easily Doom cycle this fight, and you can also use the power drain from the Hulk Buster. But if you ask me, a good champion with easy access to Nullify is the way to go, so you can keep nullifying Cable and you don't have to worry about all of those armor ups. to be honest, Kushala is a cheat option that I used. Good luck with this fight because I'm really not confident taking it without Doom or Kushala. But the options are there, they can work. And moving on to the first boss fight, that is going to be a superior Kang. Now this fight is with the base kits, there is no extra nodes on it. Now you can use any champion you want, but I prefer using champions that have power gain. So or have a lot of buffs for the extra damage, because Kang is also tech, so you get some advantage there as well. But by far my favorite champion for this fight is a Hyperion. So if you have him, use it. If you have a Serpent, he should work as well here. So the whole premise of this fight is that there are some special prompts that are under Kang's bar of power, bar of health. So whatever the prompt is, you use that special attack, and after a certain amount of the correct prompts, you are going to wound Kang. So right now, first phase, I needed 3. I wounded him and I brought him down to 90%, and he is going into the next phase. Now, if you notice, he's a bit aggressive, and after that, it says 0. So I have to keep only 0 bars of power with me, so that prompt will be successful. So I'm just dancing around, not trying to do any extra, and just there, it's successful. Now I need to throw an SP2. Now, if I use a heavy attack in between, I can pause the timer. Now, that is very important, because when you go from 1 bar of power to 3 bars of power, you need that for yourself. So right here, when you noticed, when I dex both the beams, I gain power, and when I blocked, my power is drained. So you need to find the correct balance to get to the right special attack that you want, and you can slowly wound Kang. So let's look at it again. SP1. I just have an SP2. I threw that out. Now because it's phase 2, I keep getting power, so I have to keep throwing that SP1, and once I did that, I wounded him with 4 of those correct prompts. Then it's about as much damage as you can do, and you push him to 50%, and he goes into the phase 3. Now, I know this damage is a bit inflated because I'm using Hyperion. He's just crazy for this fight, and he's a rank 3. But it would look similar if you use any other champion, but I would still say bring a champion that has power gain, because that is really going to help you in the final phase. So prompt number 1 is done at 0. I'm going to throw an SP1 here to make sure that I am again at 0 prompt. There we have it. Now I need to get to an SP3. So there are 2 ways: either use a parry or heavy, or I push him to an SP1 so he can throw the SP1 beams and I can evade them. So heavy attack pauses the timer. I get to an SP3 because I passively gain power not only from my power gain, but also from this phase. So there we have it, 3 prompts done. Now for the 4th prompt, I have to throw an SP1. Now here is where it gets interesting, because I push him to an SP2 and it keeps power locking me, and it gets really annoying to deal with. I cannot push him to an SP3, and this is where my fight starts going downhill. So boom, here we go. He again has an SP1. Now I want him to throw that. Messed it up again. He gets another SP2, and I keep getting power locked. I cannot, for the love of God, get to an SP2 and throw it out. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? Let me just play slow. Maybe I'll get a 0 prompt that I will be able to wound him. Otherwise, I just keep taking special lock, and I just keep taking damage. So almost there at 0. Just trying to survive here, because you can get to an SP2 again. I get lucky. I'm almost at 0 prompt. There we have it. I keep taking damage. because of the SP2, but now I'm thinking, okay, I have a 0 prompt, it should be okay for me. He's almost at 3 bars of power, that's prompt number 5, and he throws an SP2 again, and I'm stuck in the same loop. I have to get to an SP2, so slowly playing around, still not able to get there. So if you get stuck into an SP2 loop, it's going to be difficult to get out of it. But yeah, if the RNG favors you, just like me here, I was able to throw an SP2 and I was able to get out of it, and the loop helped me out as well. So I wounded him again and I took him down to, I think, 1%, that is final phase. Because the damage is crazy on this guy, no, I have to go once again. Because the damage is crazy on Hyperion, he does a lot of damage. I was supposed to throw an SP3, but I made a mistake here. But Kang was very kind not to hit me. So again, down to 18%. I'm like, why this fight is going haywire? But learned my lesson, went back in, throw an SP3, and again, you back to the same loop. So what I'm trying to say, you only get stuck if you push him to an SP2. SP1 is okay. And if you're using a rank 3 champion, it barely takes like 3 loops and you can get this fight done. So here we are, SP2. I'm gonna evade, and evade once more and throw my SP2, and there you have it. That's another prompt done. Now there is 0, so I'm gonna dump my SP1. I'm gonna try and stay below that power. So I'm just going to block, throw an SP1 again, and here we go. So the goal is to take him down to 1%, where he goes on to the next phase. Now here, for some reason, his timer is still stuck on 0 and it's not moving. So I wasn't so sure what's happening here. Some kind of a bug or something I'm missing from this side, because I don't remember him losing out like this. So just a striker into heavy. I think that will prompt it to start again. There we go. So throwing that special out. There we have it. Down to 0 again. That's prompt number 3. Now I have to throw an SP1, which I barely got. And now I have to get to an SP3. To simply, I will evade, and that should give me enough power. One more evade on this one, and enough power. Going back in, an SP3, and boom. And he is down to 1%. Now the goal here is to get to an SP3 before him and have enough damage to kill him. Now Hyperion is perfect for that, because he can easily gain all of that power because of his own power gain, and because you're going to spam heavy in the corner, he's going to get a lot of those furies, and those furies are going to help him increase his damage, and in one SP3 you are able to kill off Kang. So Kang has nowhere to go, because he's going to only use an SP3, but before he goes to an SP3, you with your power gain are going to get there. And just like that, with 14 Furies, Kang is a goner. We did get a solo on him, but yeah, experiences might vary for you when you do this. Make sure to keep a very strong champion, preferably a power gainer for this fight. And finally, we are at the 7.4 bosses. Now the first one is going to be your Darkhawk. Now this is a very fun fight, because he's armor break immune, so you can't use your regular champions. I would suggest to bring a champion that can easily kind of ignore the auto block, but plenty of champions can work. Some really new champions work really well for this fight, like Gore, like Vox. They have Undermine buff that ignores the auto block. You can also use a Hercules here. I'm personally using an Angela, because she can ignore the auto block. Now I've done this fight much faster with the Colossus, believe it or not. I just build up to 20 prowesses and throw an SP2, and that just kills Darkhawk in one SP2. But I thought, you know what, I'll just play safe. I'll go with Angela. So the way the nodes work here is Special Connoisseur. So the only way you do 100% of damage to Darkhawk is when you have a prowess on you. Now the way you can build prowess is when you have a fury, you can get a precision, and both of them combine to make a prowess. Now how do you get a fury on you? Whenever you will parry the opponent with subterfuge block, you are going to get a fury on you. So you can take that fury and wait for the opponent to dex into you or a special, and you can dex it, and that is converted into a prowess. Now, a good ballpark is around 25 prowesses, at which point your specials start to hurt, depending on what champion you're going to use. If you're going to use a Hercules, of course, 10 prowesses is enough. Same goes with the Walks and Gore, but depending on what champion you bring in, Odin is also crazy for this fight, so take your pick and you can take out this crazy Darkhawk. Again, depending on what roster you have. If you haven't checked out my planner for part 1 and 2, check it out. You can add all of your champions in it and you can plan the whole path, and it is really helpful, and I've updated some of the counters there, and I'll update another version of it, so stay tuned for that. Moving on to the next fight, there is a nasty Ultron. Now he has one arm bended, so there is going to be a cooldown on him. Whenever you knock down, the respective cooldown will become active and you'll get that respective buff. So right now there's Fury, so if I knock him down, he'll get a Fury. If it's armor, he will get an armor. If it's a power gain, he'll get a power gain. There's also armor break immunity, so you have to be careful about that. And there's return policies, so his special attack cost less. And finally, there is make a stand, so you have to knock him down for him to take 100% damage, otherwise there's going to be a protection on him. Now I've brought in a Hulkling simply because I can build up to an SP2, get all of those pierce going, and then use a heavy attack that will not only intimidate him but also remove the make a stand protection, and then I can throw a big SP2 and that is enough for me. Now these defenders are beefed up than the original, so it takes a bit of time, but you can get there. So yeah, Hulkling is one of the better counters. But other counters can work here, you might ask. Gladiator would be a really good one because he will stop the armors and he does a lot of damage. All of his cold snap is there, and also his incinerate. You can use the Odin here as well. Serpent will also work amazingly well here. You've got Hercules and you've got a Void. Void because he can just shut down everything, the power gain, the regen, all of it. It would be a slower fight, but it will be a way safer fight, and with the constant degen with the debuffs, that can also work out for you. So depends which one you're gonna take your pick and you can jump into it. Make sure to check the planner out. I have options there and it explains a little bit on the fight as well. Next fight is going to be against a Guillotine 2099 with Galvanize, Foresight, Rust and Ruin, Live Wire, and from my cold dead hands. Do not use a champion that has Nullify because you will get a lot of burst damage. Use a champion that has easy access to shocks because you will need shocks to do any kind of damage to Guillotine 2099. There is also Foresight, so if you intercept, you're going to get a Fury, increasing your damage by 300%. And there is Rust and Ruin, so whenever you will attack the opponent, you will get an armor break on yourself, so just be wary about that. And yeah, pretty straightforward fight. Actually, it's the fastest fight that I've done in this whole Crucible. Simply because I have a Shuri that is a rank 3, so I can just simply go in and keep spamming my SP1, and the criticals are more than enough to take her out. The next fight is going to be against a Crossbones. Now this fight is going to be a little tough. There is Thunderstruck, Shock Vulnerability, High Voltage, Composite Construction, and Blood in Water. So if there is a debuff on you, that you will give Fury to Crossbones. And also there is Thunderstruck, so you need champions who have easy access to Shock. Otherwise, he will not take as much damage. And there is also Shock Vulnerability, so if there is a Shock applied to Crossbones, he will take more damage. But remember, he's going to shrug off the shocks as well. So, what champions can work here? So, you need a champion that has a good balance of to be able to parry him and give him a passive stun and also work with the shock. So, champions with shock immunity will really work really well. So, both of your storms will work really good. You can also use your Hulkling. He should work really well too. There's also Dust. She works too. One of the new champions. Havoc will be also a fun champion to work here, and also you can use your Absman with the invulnerability on the shock on his SP1 Uru form. So yeah, those are some of the champions you can use. Thunderstruck will help you apply shocks. You don't really need a champion that has a built-in shock ability, but it will be helpful because you will be able to apply more shocks in quick succession. Just be wary about the unblockables with the Galvanize, and then you should be good. Keep Crossbones to an SP1, and the SP1 animation will help you evade easily. And I'm using a rank 4 Storm, which is a bit of a difficult fight to build up all of those prowesses, and then I have to throw heavy attacks in between to keep them refreshed. But yeah, slow fight for me, but if you have a champion that is ranked up better, you can take him out. And one mistake, so one slip up and you're dead. I think I actually die here with one revive. I had to come back and take him down. So it's one of the longer fights for me, just because I didn't have the right champion, or I used the other champions, other parts of the Crucible. So yeah, planning becomes very important. And again, I would suggest make sure to check out my planner. I will link it in the video description also. I've done path 1 already, so I will link that one as well. So let me know in the comment section what do you think, and would you want me to do the other difficulty, the normal one with 4 parts as well? I can try that with only 5-star champions, so that could be also a series that I can do. So let me know, and I'll see you on the next fight. Now this next fight is going to be Sabretooth. Now this is a fight where I did not plan for using Photon at all. I was like, you know what, I will bring a Spider-Man 7-star rank 1 and I'll use him. Because the nodes here are going to be Adrenochrome, Powerful, Indomitable, Bleed Immunity and SP2 Bias. So he wants to throw a special too, because when he throws a special, he gets a huge fury that increases the damage. And if you miss only one, or even if you block, you're gonna take a lot of damage on yourself. And there's also Indomitable, so his regen cannot be reversed. But if you apply enough debuffs on him, he is going to be heal blocked. Then Powerful, so his power manipulation, you cannot do anything. He cannot drain power, or you cannot power lock him. And finally, there is Adrenochrome. So the more debuffs you have on him, the more special attack damage is reduced. So the whole premise of this fight is let him throw an SP1 only. I would really suggest to keep him to an SP1 unless you are really good evading the SP2, because I sometimes get clipped, and in this fight all it takes with the extra fury, one SP2 and you're dead. So keep him to an SP1, let him trigger that, you go back in, and because I'm using Photon, she's going to apply a lot of debuffs, so Adrenochrome is going to help me, and slowly but surely I am able to take him down. It was one of the shorter fights for me because she is the right champion. Now other champions that could really work here are going to be some of your tech champions that have a lot of debuffs. So Ironheart, Shuri, Prowler, Werewolf by Night would be, Arcade would be a good option here. You can also use Lady Deathstrike. Lady Deathstrike has been slowly growing up on me, so I think I am going to rank 5 on Ascender as well. And as always, there is Null with all of those debuffs as well. So all of these champions work, take your pick, and yeah, just bring a champion with a lot of debuffs, keep him to an SP1, and you should be able to get through this fight. And finally, I bring out that Hercules that I've been saving for all of this pass. Now, this fight is pretty annoying because there is combo party. So every 10 hits on your combo meter, you are going to get a cruelty that will increase your critical damage. But if you get hit between that, that is going to blow up like a bomb and do quite a bit of damage to you. Now, that is very easy to happen because there is encroaching stun. So after a certain cooldown, when the cooldown is about to get over, if you're not throwing a special, you are going to be stunned unless you are stun immune. So, and couple that with Yellowjacket's own abilities, his SP1s is really annoying. If you get clipped, you get a power sting on you. And if you don't throw a special attack during this power sting, you are going to get stunned. And together with encroaching stun, this can be a very annoying fight to deal with. And if that wasn't enough, there is also Flux Dispersal. So with Flux Dispersal, every time you hit the opponent, he is going to get a charge that will keep reducing damage by 5% taken. So by the time he gets 20 charges, he takes literally 0 damage. So that's something also you need to play against. And you have to use a heavy attack to dispel all of those dispersal charges just like that. But on the good side, there is Heavy Assault, so you can use a heavy attack to do extra damage. Now, why I use Hercules? Because every time you intercept or you knock down the opponent, you get a strength charge on you. And the strength charge on you, every charge renders you immune or a stun immune to, or renders you immune to stun. So whenever there is an encroaching stun, I can totally ignore it with Hercules and not worry about it because my strength charge will help me purify it. So just there you noticed I was immune. So what other champions that can work? Well, you can use most of your Purify champions because you don't have to worry about encroaching stun, and then you can just use your heavy attacks. So Shang-Chi should be amazing here. Then Nick Fury on his second life should be good. You can also use Archangel. Shield will be a good champion here. Then also your Jabari Panther, but your mostly champions that have easy access to Purify are the ones to go for. And with heavy attacks, you can get Yellowjacket down quite quick. Now next one we have a nasty Mangog. Now with Mangog, now I was planning to use Silk here. Like I was like, you know what? I will just do Silk and I can get through this fight. But for some reason, in the last moment, I just went with Mango. I just went here with an Overseer. I just recently ranked 5 him, and I think he's an amazing champion. I don't have him as a 7-star. I would love to have him as a 7-star, but I think I would consider sending him as well because he's just that good. Now I am not using a striker here because I'm just not bothered to change for strikers in every fight. So the nodes here are going to be staggering beauty. So the more you stay near to Mangog, you are going to get a fate seal on you. So you have to keep your distance. And there's also unstoppable force. So after every 12-second cooldown, there's going to be unstoppable on the opponent, depending how far or near you are. If you're far from the opponent, the unstoppable will be on you. If you're near the opponent, then he will get the unstoppable. And there's also steady preservance. So if he hits you in the block, he's going to get power, and also with boost buff unstoppable. So you have to play around both the unstoppables, and top of it, he goes unstoppable himself when he gets to 10 of his raid charges. So it's a fight where you have to control the unstoppable. Now the easy way is you bring in the champion that has easy access to slow, and you don't worry about that. And that's definitely a better way to go about this fight. Don't do what I am doing, just bringing in Overseer just because I enjoy the challenge of it. You have a Silk, you have a She-Hulk, go for that, go for the easy one, or you can Doom Cycle him. If not, you can go for your Quicksilver. He has slow as well. Red Guardian, plenty of different champions. I've given Spot as an option, but I will not do Spot as well because, well, Spot can kind of work because if you block the SP2 with the portal block, you can get a lot of charges, and that could be a really like a good and a faster fight. But yeah, go for champions that have slow. Keep it simple. Don't be me and take all of that extra damage. And I think I die here as well. I had to come back and kill Mangog with a revive. So this was a revive I could have easily avoided. But hey, well, what's the fun if the fight is simple, right? So just here, I am going to parry another SP2. And we are good to go. So I will leave you for the rest of the fight and I'll be right back. Now next up is going to be a very chill fight that is going to be against King Groot. I am just going to bring in Longshot. Just bring a champion that can take advantage of the buffs and you are good to go. So when I say take advantage of the buffs, you can bring in your Symbiote Supreme, you can bring in your Werewolf by Night, you can bring in the Mojo, you can bring in the Kushala. All of them work. Just a fun little fight to have fun. You even do a Juggernaut on this fight. The nodes are going to be Apex Predators, Tough as Nails, Power Buildup, and Supercharge for SP2 bias. But then again, it's all about controlling his buffs. And if you have that, you can just dance around during the unblockable and you are good to go. I am just using a 6-star rank for a Longshot and he will be able to finish off this fight. Although I would say just keep him to an SP1 only. The SP2 can be really nasty and can hurt. But yeah, apart from that, pretty straightforward fight. Just keep throwing those SP2s and he will melt away King Groot. Same goes with other champions that have easy access to your Nullify, and you're good for this fight. Big, tanky, beefy, cosmic champion taken out by Mystic champion, story as old as time. and you can also use champions that can take advantage of the buff. So Symbiote Supreme, Spidey Supreme, Mojo, Scarlet, Sigil Witch, all of these champions work really well here. And now we are at the tail end of this run. Thank you for staying put. Now it's going to be a Purgatory. She is Incinerate immune, so remember that there's Hubris, Power to Cover, and Shock immunity. So she is going to be immune to Shock and also Incinerate, her natural immunity. And there's Hubris. So the way Hubris works is whenever she will throw a special, she will take damage after it. Yeah, so right there she throws a special, she will take the damage and then it will blow up like a detonator. So use champions that have delayed kind of damage. So for example, your Scorpion with all of his power stings, you can get all of that damage like stored, and when she throws a special she can take a lot of damage. The fight goes by very quick. So simply bring in power sting champions. They are OP for this fight. Is going to be a very quick one. So Yellowjacket, Spider-Punk, Human Torch with his pre-fight, Cassie Lang, and Scorpion. All of these champions that work. Anybody with a power sting will work really well here. I purposely did not use Spider-Ham here because I'm saving him for a very nasty Mojo that is upcoming. Now moving on to the next fight, this is one of those fights for which you plan beforehand because it's going to be an Annihilus. Now Annihilus is annoying on his own. So there's parry, there's parry vulnerability, there's immovable object, boost buff with unstoppable with extra duration on it, and there is odometer. Now simply put, use in champions that can reduce the buff duration. So Absorbing Man is one of them. He reduces the unstoppable power duration. Mojo is another one. You can also use champions that have stagger or that have nullify, because if you remove the cosmic control rod, you can control the fight and you can easily parry. My choice here was Absman because I could just throw my SP1s and get it done with. But I've also done this fight with Doom before. I've also done this fight before with Symbiote Supreme, so they also work really well. If you want to go the Degen route, you can also bring in Mojo. He does really good here as well. But I would say if you have an Absorbing Man, save him especially for this fight, and you can always you can always just dash back and intercept, and that can help you keep your form up and just keep throwing your SP1s, and the damage should be enough to take out this nasty Annihilus. So just there, heavy attack into an SP1, some good damage, and you rinse and repeat that. Once you have enough of those charges, you can refine your Uru form, and you should be good with this fight. fight is going to be against a Mojo. Now this fight is really interesting in a way that there is a lot of degen here, and the more power you hold, the more you are resistant to degen. So if you use any other champion that is not degen resistant or degen immune, I would suggest you to keep 2 bars of power always, and then knock down Mojo to transfer that degen to him. But there is also Oscillate and Armor. Oscillate node. So he goes into a Fury phase, then it goes into an Armor phase. During Fury phase, he is very aggressive and he's going to throw the specials and everything. Then during the Armor phase, he is going to be very passive and he's going to block a lot. And to make matters a little more annoying, there is such a huge block. So whenever you're going to block him, you're going to get a Fury. And when that expires, that will give you a degen. So whenever you get a degen, just knock down Mojo and you can transfer the degen to him. Try to keep him on less bars of power, because the less bars of power you have, the less resistant he is to degen. Now, I specifically saved Spider-Ham for this fight, and I would highly suggest you, if you have a Spider-Ham, or if you have Hulk, if you have any champion that is immune or resistant to degen, please save him for this fight, because this will make it much more easier. And the best part, Spider-Ham also has Power Stings, and because of Oscillate, Mojo is going to throw a lot of specials, so Spider-Ham is made for this fight, or should I say this fight is made for Spider-Ham. So yeah, those are the different options. Cassie Lang, Silk, your Spider-Ham, Hulk is a good option. So plenty of options that can be used. So take your pick and you should be able to run through this fight. Again, just be careful about the degen. Use your heavy offer to transfer the degen on Mojo. So yeah, I hope this helps out. Now this next fight I was really afraid of, that is Super-Skrull with Bullet Time. I hate Bullet Time node, and there's also Feats of Power and Sun Vulnerability. So if he gets more power, for every bar of power he gets more of his bonuses in his attack and armor. And there's also Steady Perseverance, so if you knock him down and he hits you again, he gets power gain on him. So what I needed to do here, I was just building up a lot of those Bullet Time with those parries. You need to parry a lot to get at least 9 to 10 evade charges. When you have those, you evade and he's passively stunned. Now that's going to be a long stun and you can do a lot of damage. But I didn't know that this dude, Symbiote Supreme, is going to really kill him super fast. Before I blink, he was dead. So very quickly, I'll give you the options before he dies. There's going to be Kushala, Chavez, Spider Supreme, Sorcerer Supreme. Basically all the Supremes will work really well, and you can throw in a Rindra if you have him. So those are some really good options for that fight. And then very quickly we are on to Killmonger. Now I put Cosmic Ghost Rider on him. I would not suggest it. This is one of the one I regret, but it did cost me only 1 revive, but that's okay. So the way this works is Extinction Protocol. So every time he gains a power, his power rate is increased. And armor, there's also Redouble Determination. So if he has bleed, if he has armor break, or if he has poison on him, they count as double. That increases power rate by double. So just like that, he can get to 2 bars of power or 3 bars of power. So you have to play really slow and be careful if you're using that kind of champion. Unfortunately for me, I used a Cosmic Ghost Rider, so I had to like really wait for his SP2s and everything. So I think I couldn't control the SP3s and I died once. So I had to revive back again and take him out. Nothing too like I'm unhappy about, but I could have avoided it with a totally different champion. And just like that, I am dead. I was trying to be aggressive so he doesn't throw the SP3, but I had to heal back up and come back in. So I think that is revive number 3 or 4 for me, but that's okay. You get through it and you should be good. Some really good options that can be here can be your Domino, can be your Black Cat. Another good option that can work here is going to your newer champions, your Onslaught and NTW. And you can also try Mr. Sinister. All of these champions can work well. Just be careful if you apply a bleed, a poison or an armor break. Wait for it to expire before you go in, because they're going to give him a lot of power with Extinction Protocol, and just before you know it, he will get up to 3 bars of power and you will be dead. So I think just here with the final SP2, I was able to take him down. I did miss out my striker, and I'm like, you know what, let me just throw the SP2. Even if I have to use another revive, I'm okay. But hey, I was able to take him down. We are at the tail end of this. So there is Mr. Negative. Now this fight is annoying because of a node picture of health. Do not bring a champion that has Incinerate, or do not bring a champion that has some kind of heal manipulation, because that's not going to work. He's going to heal back up to full. So I brought in Ironheart, and I started with the pre-fight so I can use the Ruptures, because they will not disturb, or they will not change his rate of healing, so the picture of health will not come into play. Now, once having said that, there is another node that is going to be Energy Adoption Fire. So you need somebody who can either shrug off, or who can either who is either immune to Incinerate. Now my problem here that I realized after I won this fight is that Ironheart is only Incinerate immune when she has an armor up. And whenever Mr. Negative throws a special, because of special burst lockdown, I got armor broken. So basically, I don't have any kind of Incinerate immunity on me. So I just have to finish the fight faster. Now I'm already so deep in this Crucible, I cannot restart. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to cost me a revive or 2. At this point, it's okay. But please don't do my mistake. Use a better champion. I could have used Ironheart in a different fight, and that would have been much faster. But hey, you learn from it. So this is my learning from here. Do not use Ironheart here on this fight. And I will also change some of these counters on the sheet as well. So, but better alternatives are going to be your Shrug Off champion. So you can use a Chill. You can use a Baron Zemo. You can also use a Blade and a Mole Man. All of these champions with Shrug Offs can work. Also, you can use Incinerate champions that can also work. And also there's another node that gives you playing favorites. So it gives you a favorite special or basic attack, medium, light or heavy, that changes after every special attack. So once you land a corresponding basic attack, you do extra damage. So that will also help you out on this fight, and slowly but surely you can take him out. I didn't do bad for my first go at Mr. Negative. Brought him down to 15%, cost me another revive, but I was able to take him out. And just before the boss, the last fight is going to be Namor with Biohazard. So you definitely need somebody with bleed and poison immunity. I would say just bring in robots and just be done with it, because they are tech and they are mostly immune to poison and mostly immune to bleed. So you don't need to worry about that. Powerful from afar. If you stay away, you gain extra power. if you stay away from Namor, he gains a power gain buff. If you stay near him, that is removed. He is going to be aggressive as well, and there's also another node that is going to be Crisis of Opportunity, so you can use it to your advantage as well. Just be wary about the usual outrage charges and Namor getting to an SP2 or SP3 and throwing that out. The degen will be there because of Crisis of Opportunity, so you have to play carefully around it. So what champions can work here? All of your robots will be a really good one. So Warlock, G2099 with Vision, Nimrod, Vision, all of those champions work. I'm just using a Nimrod so I can take him out quick. But hey, remember, if you are doing damage over time, wait for the damage over time to expire. Don't let Namor attack into your block. Because of his Sig ability, all of the damage over time effect damage is going to reflect it back to you. I learned the hard way. I got down to 66%. But hey, we came back with it and we are good taking him down. Now notice there is a cooldown underneath Namor's health bar, that is Crisis of Opportunity. If you are throwing the special when the cooldown is over, you are going to get a Fury for extra damage. But if you're not, you're going to get Degen, that's going to reduce your health. So the premise of this fight is that you hold your special when the cooldown is almost over for Crisis of Opportunity. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to time it together. And once I do that, look, I get an extra Fury and I do some more damage to Namor. And I take him down just like that. And we are finally up to the final boss, that is going to be Superior Kang. And now we have the final boss fight, that is going to be Superior Kang with his base kit and no extra nodes. Now I am lucky, I have the two best champions for both of the Kangs fight at rank 3, Hyperion for the regular Kang, and for Superior Kang I have a Venom. Now for this one you need a champion that has buffs and debuffs both available. So you do extra damage based off how many buffs you have in the phase 1. And then you do extra damage based on how many debuffs you have on Kang in phase 2, and back again to buffs at phase 3, and back again to debuffs in phase 4. So when he's wounded, this is where those buffs and debuffs help you. So Venom is a really good choice here, because not only he gets all of those buffs, he can apply those bleeds, and they also help you do some extra damage in the respective phase 1 and 3. Now some other counters here can be Gore. He has buffs and also debuffs. Vox is another example. You can use Ultron as well. He works really well. So does Serpent, and Cersei is another good shout out. Now how does this fight work? If you need like a detailed explanation, you can always check out my 7.4.6 guide, but I'll give you a very quick breakdown of this fight. You have to perform specific actions to get slipstream charges. Once you get 10 slipstream charges, you can wound Kang, and in that phase you can attack him and do all sorts of damage. There are going to be 4 phases. So right now he's wounded. This is phase 1. So the more buffs I have on myself, that is going to slow down the timer on wound and give me more opportunity to attack and kill him faster. So just like that, in one's wounded state, I am able to bring him down in phase 1. Now, when he's down to 0%, he is going to reverse the time. Really cool animation, I really like that. And he's going to get back to full health. Now, again, I have to build those slipstream charges. So, charge number 1 is when you parry and try to attack him, he's going to retaliate and he's going to throw a beam that you evade. You get 1 charge. You get another charge if he is throwing a heavy and you try to intercept the heavy, you get another charge like that. Another charge is when he throws a special attack, just like that. You evade it, you get a charge, and you try to counter attack, and you get 1 more charge for that. So 4 ways you can get the charges, but the catch is in phase 1 and phase 2, you need to alternate one of them. You alternate one of them, and you can keep getting those charges. And once you have 10 of those slipstream charges, the next time you hit the opponent, just here, he is wounded, and you can do the damage. And because I have a lot of bleeds here, that's going to do some extra damage, and Kang will go down fast. So phase 1 or 2 are relatively easy because you can just use 2 of the actions. You can use a parry and then try to hit, evade, get a slipstream charge, then hold your block, let him throw let him throw a heavy attack and you can intercept and you can go back to parry. So you can just use 2 of those kind of slipstream charges and you can get up to 10. Now the difficulty starts from phase 3 into phase 4. Now you cannot repeat the last 2 actions. So I just used a counter attack. Now I'm waiting for him to parry, and right there I waited. I got 2 charges now. Now I cannot intercept, I cannot parry. So I'm gonna wait for him to throw a heavy attack. Well, messed that up. That was bad. And now he throws an SP1. So this is a different one. So I can go in, then that's gonna count as a slipstream charge. Now again I intercepted. So intercept was the 4th. So again, just repeating here, there are going to be 4 ways you can get your slipstream charges. You can either parry the opponent and try an attack after. You can either just intercept him straight up and you will get a slipstream charge, or you can evade his special attack and try to retaliate right after, or the final one is going to be parry and or wait for his heavy attack and try to retaliate, and that is going to give you a slipstream charge. In phase 3 and phase 4 that we are right now, you cannot repeat the last 2 actions to get the slipstream charges. So as you notice there, I died on this phase and I had to come back. But the good thing is your slipstream charges, they are banked and you start again from the same one. So I'm already at 9. I just need 1 more. After the heavy attack, I go in. I have 10 now. So if I attack him now, I'm going to wound him. There we go, and I am able to do all of that damage and take him out. This is going to be phase 3, so the more buffs I have, they're going to help me. So I'm going to use an SP3 here, so I get all of those furies, and that will slow down the timer and give me enough damage to take him out. Venom just melts Kang right away. And just like that, we are down to the final phase. Again, guys, make sure to check out my Excel builder that I've shared before on one of the videos that can help you create your team depending on what roster you have. And it also takes into account the rarity of the champion, so you can use a 6-star domino, a 5-star domino, and a 7-star domino in the same run. The only restriction here, you can only use 1 champion against 1 defender, so planning becomes very, very crucial. So check that out. I've already put out path number 1. This is path number 2. Let me know in the comment section if you like to see the other 4 paths that are going to be your normal difficulty with 5-star champions, so it accounts for everybody. So let me know in the comment section down below. And this has been the first Everest kind of content that I've really enjoyed. I usually hate Everest content and I don't make guides for them, but this one has been super fun because I can just do 3 fights and I can get on with my life and then come back again, do 3 more. So I can go like 3 at a time. Even if I don't know what the fight is, I can just go back, hint, just search Mangog noob guides, put the boss 7 point whatever it is, and you will see what options are there, and you can use that, do 3 fights, go back again. So you don't have to do it in one sitting. There is a total of 32 fights on this path. So you can do 5 a day and you can get done in 1 week. So yeah, go on your own pace. So really fun content, really enjoyed it. I hope Kabam does more of these, and yeah, I think this is every type of Everest contest that I can get behind with. So here we are, finally the final phase. 10 slipstream charges are there. We're gonna attack Kang and we are going to kill him, and that is going to be end of the path. Thank you so much for hanging around, and thank you for the amazing response on my guide on path 1 and also the Excel builder. I hope this helps you out as well. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. And if you find any mistakes, also tag them so I can pin them and help everybody out. Apart from that, guys, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.